I've left all my clever things on the field. I'm out.
It's too bad.
Yeah. Oh, hey, if you do use my joke that I said before, I don't have a boat, and I'm not a smoker. Don't smoke.
You don't have a smoker boat?
I'm not a smoker. I'm not a boat. I don't have a cigarette boat.
You shouldn't lie, Ken.
The thing about that joke is that I thought you were, like, telling, like, an actual story, and I thought something bad was going to happen, and then you dropped that...
No, that's my favorite kind of jokes.
God-awful pun, and that's what broke me, because I was expecting, like, a bad story ending, but no, you disguised it as a fucking pun! God damn it!
I don't know how to tell that joke otherwise.
Oh. And that's why I died. That's what killed me, Ken. That's how you killed me.
I just want to make sure everyone knows that they shouldn't smoke because it's disgusting. And I'm very happy that we don't have that happening around here.
But it allows you to say cool things in a cool way, like access main program. Access.
Or hold on to your butts.
That too.
So now you're advocating?
No, I'm advocating for Samuel Jackson to do it in 1993.
You guys know that Sam Jackson came in to read his line and actually shocked Steven and whoever it was so much that they just sat in 5 minutes staring at each other after he left. Like he had zero hesitation. He just came in, fucking chewed through his lines, and then left and said thanks.
I want to see this.
I do too. It just makes sense for Sam Jackson.
Does that mean we have to make another not extra?
Mm-hmm. It's just great. He wanted a cast of people who sounded smart and could deliver lines like they were smart and knew what they were talking about. And I feel like everybody just nails that in this movie.
I just came to a very sad realization.
What?
This is a horror movie.
Yeah.
I was going to get into that here in a little bit as we get to see the first horror element. We finally get to see the bad guy that's going to be haunting your dreams. That it's not stalking you in the background anymore. You have the horror right in your face. I love it. The T-Rex is right there. I'm Ken. Wait.
You're the T-Rex?
What?
Said, there's the T-Rex. I'm Ken. It's like,
right.
You're the T-Rex?
At a certain point, we're going to have to start this thing.
He's not wrong.
All right. I'm Joe.
I'm still Ken.
I guess I'm Andrew.
I'm so confused. I'm Dan? I'm Dan.
Maybe Dan.
And we're the Rewinders podcast, rewinding movies to see if they hold up. And this time it is episode 4 of the dissection of Jurassic Park.
5. Episode 5.
You said 4.
What did I say?
That was
you said
4 last week. 2 weeks ago. Oh, God. It's been so long.
Oh, my God. What is time anymore? What is life?
Joe, you kind of sounded like the guy in the subway in the Lost World Jurassic Park. the guy that accosts Malcolm on the subway. He's like, "Oh, I know you." He puts his hands together and acts all stupid. Yeah.
What?
Sounds like something I do. So we left off at the power going out, and the saucy Malcolm saying ex-wives are ex-wives.
Hey,
Join my ex-wives club, Peppy.
And then asking if Dr. Statler was available for future ex-wifing.
Yes.
Kind of referencing characters that exist now but didn't exist when the movie was being filmed.
Wait, what?
He talks about his
What?
children and Kelly. Like, makes an opening for Kelly.
He does make an opening for
Oh,
Kelly.
the gymnastics girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
The girl who used the awesome word troglodyte and opened up my eyes as a child that there were some cool insulting words that nobody knew.
Oh, D&D players have known that word for years.
Oh, it's such a good
Yeah.
such a good word.
For sure.
And all because she didn't have Sega.
She missed out on
Yeah.
so many good soundtracks.
Yup.
All I can hear is the opening theme to Green Hill Zone from Sonic 2.
That's not it.
That's the one.
Close
I
enough.
went through all sorts of them, like Starlight Zone and then Casino Zone, and then you'd think Emerald Hill would be the first one in my brain because that's the one that you play the most.
Yeah, it's the first level of the game.
So are they outside the Tyrannosaurus fence at the time
Yes,
in this
indeed.
movie?
Yes.
The second those tour vehicles stopped.
the
Shockingly
the
so.
correct fence not the perimeter fence.
Shocking.
Not anymore because the power's off.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, out of all the stuff that's going on, they pull out the silly night vision goggles that look
Amazing.
like they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle goggles.
I love them, and I still want a pair.
They also look like they could break so easily.
Yeah, they're expensive.
But they look like plastic.
Yeah.
Put them back.
I also like how they matched the cars,
Yeah.
too.
You gotta love that they
of.
saddled the lawyer with the kids, and this is the first interaction you get. Are those heavy? Yes. Well, they're expensive. Put them back.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite line of the scene.
All sorts of things great happening here. Like, to this day, I still get chills from the water.
That's not the scene. That's not
water
the
thing in
scene,
the
though.
cup.
No,
That's not
it's
the
not.
scene?
That's after. Oh no, this is the scene. It is the scene.
It's a big scene.
Here's where I got messed up. When Grant and Malcolm are having their conversation in the car prior to the power going off, Malcolm tries to offer Grant a swig of his flask, which has some sort of unknown alcohol in it, probably. But then in this scene, we get to witness Grant come back after talking to Gennaro, and he's filling up his canteen with the door open in the Explorer with water. He takes a swig, hands it over to Malcolm, and Malcolm just graciously takes it and starts swigging from it. I love that difference in characters between the two.
But yeah, the water with the ripples.
That is the scene. That
Is-
is correct, because I have notes about how they get that to all happen, and it makes me so happy.
I just like the fact, though, that if you haven't even seen this movie, you've probably seen
An homage.
an homage to it in something else. But yeah, they just put like a bass amp underneath the car.
It's a
or something.
guitar
There's
string.
guitar string.
Because everything else that they tried would disturb the surface of the water and make it unable to be recorded. The only thing that I couldn't find was how they did that for the T-Rex
The puddles.
I know. I want to know that so bad because the puddles look so good when that happens.
I imagine they did the same thing, only they built a 8-foot
Oh my god, was it
platform.
miniaturized? And they just put
Or a
they
miniature
just put
version.
the miniature like real close to the camera and then like zoomed out so it looked like it was in the same spot. Oh man, I'm nerding out real
man.
hard right
Yeah,
now.
It's a
movie
rabbit
magic
hole.
looks amazing either way.
It's a rabbit hole we go down. But yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing that stands out about the scene and the thing that's still to this day is like, it's like getting a warm, heartfelt hug. In the theaters when this film launched, and when I was sitting in the theater at 5 years old, dead silence through the next 10 minutes. Absolute, stifling, dead silence. To this day, anytime this movie is on, I don't care who I'm around, friends, family, acquaintances, coworkers, whatever, it's dead silence while this scene happens. That is how commanding this scene is. That is how much this scene has survived over all the years that it's been around in terms of its effect, its value. It's so well shot, so well planned, and legitimately, I mean, this is what the whole movie is based around. This is the scene that everybody got excited to film, the scene that everybody knew what they were going to do about. It's like trying to fill in the gaps for everything else. Like, when you sit down and talk about Jurassic Park, this is the first thing that they had planned, essentially. Yeah, we have to just fill in everything else. We have to figure out what to cut, what to add, blah, 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 blah. But everybody knew what it was leading up to. And it shows. My God, does it show in this scene.
Yep, the reveal of your horror dinosaur.
When we watched this movie, and I wrote down all the notes, like a week prior to this, Corridor Digital did a VFX breakdown of this scene, and my god, this scene is a goddamn masterpiece. Like, it's just
Oh, yeah.
like how they broke down how they got the rain to work, and how they did the VFX for the like filler rain, and like how they made the splashes of water that the T-Rex makes when it steps around one of the trucks. It's just oh my god.
Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
it's unbelievably incredible. And I think for me, something that really blew me away, watching when it hit Blu-ray about 10 years ago, the big thing that made me crap my pants was watching the behind the scenes and realizing what was CG and what wasn't. I always thought I had a really good handle on what was CG in this movie,
Oh, there's
but
so
there are
much
some
more
things in this scene
CG.
that just blew me away. So we'll get into that. But yeah, it's just it's impressive what they pulled off. There's a lot going on in this scene. Obviously, it's not without its mistakes. We'll get to that too. But
I say it's so good that you don't think about the giant drop off. that just magically happens.
That's
And
another
also,
scene.
why there's a bathroom in this
The
area
bathroom makes sense.
when they're not supposed to be getting out of the
The
car.
bathroom makes sense because it shows that they had those planned along the stops along the way for the guests.
Maybe?
But I thought you were going to say the plywood and the halogen light. It's such a good scene that you don't even see that.
Yep.
But anyways.
I don't know what you're talking
Oh my
about.
god, it's one of the biggest gaffes in this movie.
All right, so breakdown of the scene. We've got the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It finally makes its wonderful appearance. Lex just made the comment, about where's the goat. You get this thump on the glass. You look up, severed
So
goat
good.
leg. Tyrannosaurus Rex swallowing the thing whole. That's your first impression.
Minus a leg.
Minus a leg, yep. And then you get that nice snapping of the electrical wires. You get the creaking of the fence, and then she makes her triumphant debut, stepping out into the world and roaring, letting everyone know for the first time in the movie, and as the audience, I'm here. And it is such...
Roll for initiative.
Yeah, it is a really impactful scene. It still is. Everybody's shocked, everybody's silenced, everybody's just sitting still, except for the kids, because they want the adults to know we're scared. Now, prior to that, before the Rex comes out of the fence, you got Gennaro showing his true colors and running off, terrified, into the bathroom. Which, again, you got that joke led by Malcolm following something funny, or something scary, which keeps happening, which is amazing in this movie. You've got the joke about where's he think he's going? You gotta go. And then the fence starts swaying. He's great at setting up that, comic, and then, wait, what's happening next? You got the kids
We all have to
desperately
agree
trying to flag him
something.
down.
Agree on something first before we go any farther.
Yeah.
Dying on the shitter is a really crappy way to go out.
Oh, Dan. Dan.
You're getting upset about Ken's puns.
I did not get upset. Ken's puns, man, when he lands them, and I was not prepared.
It's disappointing when you have a story and it ends up just being 5 minutes lead up to a pun, and it makes me laugh even harder.
So anyways, Ruthie were saying the kids were all freaked out. Sorry.
No, I was just giving a recap. Just, the kids are desperately trying to flag down the adults, because even at the sight of something like a gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex, the kids in their stage are just thinking adults can help us. So in cue the flashlight, shining it out the windows, trying to get the adults' attention. Come save us, there's a thing outside, it's scary. What the hell are they going to do? You got Grant and Malcolm sitting inside the car, and Grant's telling Malcolm not to move, and he's being rational and just trying to think about his instincts and think about what he knows as a paleontologist. The kids are just being kids and trying to be close to the adults. So you got that awesome flashlight scene, you got the Rex come over, you've got Tim close the door, which the scene's so effective you never noticed that the door was closed in the scene prior to it.
We would also miss Lex turns the light off.
She does.
Before
She turns it off
she
right
turns
as
it back on. You can see the beam going out, and Grant telling them to turn the lights off, and it cuts back to Lex and Tim in the car, and Tim's like, turn the light off, and Lex turns the flashlight off. But then somehow it gets turned back on to shine into the T-Rex's eye.
For a very, very cool scene, and I'm happy they did it.
Yep, the logistics behind the scene had to have been mind-boggling, and it had to have been such a monumental task for Stan Winston. Not only do you have a director saying, I want the eye to contract. Okay, so let's work that in. But then also telling them and reassuring them repeatedly, no, it's not going to get wet. What we're going to do is we're going to film rain behind it in front of it. And then the day of the shoot being like, no, we're going to put it in a direct downfall because it's going to look awesome that way.
And then it almost kills
oh my God.
5 technicians because the rain keeps
The weight.
keeps triggering the animatronic to start moving, and they're like techs inside it, like trying to keep it.
God.
Yeah.
They're out there with sham cloths trying to slap the damn thing, trying to keep it dry.
Oh my God.
That's
That's
But
terrifying.
they did a hell of a job. There's only one scene where you can actually see it shake, and that's when the Rex is following the beam over the top of the Explorer, and as it moves its head from the left to the right, it does a little tiny wobble that you can just barely pick up. But I'm willing to, pass that off as...
So that's a real dinosaur.
That's a real dinosaur watching a light. Exactly. But then you got another unexpected thing where the Rex smashes its head through the bubble. Amazing scene.
So what is that glass made out of to not shatter into a bunch of tiny pieces?
Lexan.
What?
Same with the Same with the windows of the...
It's bendy.
Yeah, same with the windows of the Ford Explorer, because the standard Ford Explorer came with tinted windows. Hammond had all the windows on the Ford Explorer replaced with clear Lexan, so that way they could see through. It's
What are those kids' arms made out of that they didn't get crushed by a T-Rex head?
children bones.
I was impressed. I was like, those little kids are strong to fight off the pushing of a neck of a Tyrannosaurus.
Well, that's also a terrifying...
I'd be hard-pressed to push away a dog if they're just trying hard enough.
Right? But no, that was a terrifying scene for the actors, though, too, because that bubble was not supposed to break. The script called for the bubble falling into the vehicle.
Really?
Yeah. So the look and the screams on their face were genuine because the bubble was supposed to come through the roof, and that's it. When the bubble came through the roof and snapped into like thirds, the kids were actually terrified for their lives. Instead, they're trying to like scream and you know their reactions were genuine.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
That explains that. Because it's so good. It's so real.
it is. And then we get to the point where I nearly crapped my pants as an adult. The entire scene where the Tyrannosaurus Rex puts its head against the side of the Explorer and tips it over is entirely CG, including the Ford Explorer. Mm-hmm. I never knew that, and I nearly crapped my pants when I realized that they went into that much detail and they made it look that realistic. I was beside myself. I always thought it was just something like they had cables and pulled it over or something, but no. The Ford Explorer itself is completely CG in that scene. It's just unbelievable.
That's really impressive because
It
I
is.
have a still frame of it, and I'm just like, I haven't seen that level of CG in anything that old.
Yeah.
Remember when I said somebody sold their soul to make the effects of this movie work?
I think literally the only scene that, for me, you can maybe tell that it's CG. I've got it up right now. I think it's if you pause it and look super, super, super close at, like, the wheel well. The hub on or the alloy on the Explorer, it looks slightly off, but I've got it paused right now at 1 hour and 7 minutes exactly, right before the Rex headbutts it for the first time. And me looking at this, I still can't believe that that's not real. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
So I got back to a point in the movie where it's in the middle of nudging it over, and the car itself looks like it has like a film, like a haze film over it compared to the background. But to me, I wouldn't have guessed that was because it's not a real element.
The things you can get away with when you're recording in rain.
I take it back. It's not the point where the Rex is about to headbutt it. It's once the vehicle's fully rolled over. So it was pulled over with cables and whatnot. But once the vehicle's on its roof,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
that's all CG from there forward.
So when it's biting the
Yes,
tires
that's
and
all
stuff
CG.
like that.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Okay, that I can buy.
It just looks
That
so
makes
good.
a lot of sense.
though.
I was wondering how they did that. It's just CG. Okay.
It does look good.
It looks so good.
The kid's crawling around inside the cargo spot while it's being crushed into the ground. That was filmed elsewhere, and they just spliced that in. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane to me how good this looks.
Yeah, on my still frame of it upside down, it matches. They did a real
Yeah,
good
like I
job.
said, the only thing that looks a little off for some reason is just the alloy. I don't know if it's the triangles look a little bit different to me, but everything else, it just looks unbelievably just real.
It's, again, how this movie just pulls you in very effectively.
And then we get the line about not moving because T-Rexes their vision is based on movement.
And you wonder how he knows that. It just so happens to be right.
Yes,
Lucky
but
him.
what about the other 2 cents? Because humans smell real bad.
But Dan, you missed
Not in the rain.
the whole Gennaro scene with the toilet. Because immediately following that's when Grant goes out after he finds what to do. He just grabs a road flare and goes out and distracts the thing. And that's where Malcolm grabs one too. And Malcolm wasn't supposed to do that in the script. He was actually supposed to die in this scene, but he actually pleaded to Spielberg to let his character live because he thought, wouldn't it be better if he went out in like a heroic way and like did this? And I'm glad they kept him around because it's one of my favorite Malcolm quotes come later.
They're gonna kill Malcolm in the new movie.
I really hope not.
Oh my god. He's gonna do something heroic and they're going to kill Malcolm.
He's going to turn into a fly and fly
Oh
away.
god, they're gonna Cronenberg Jurassic Park. That's gonna be great.
Oh god.
But it honestly took me until I was in my mid-20s to understand what the dialogue was in this scene. I just never really looked into it. I just assumed what it meant, but I finally put subtitles on. I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And for years I was misquoting the scene wrong. You know, you got Grant with his flare. He just did what he needs to do. And then you got Malcolm coming out and kind of ruining the plan. And he's just shouting, Ian, freeze. And then Malcolm's just shouting back, get the kids. And he's shouting back, get rid of the flare. Back and forth, the same things back and forth. I don't know if it was his accent or what that I didn't quite catch as a kid. But yeah, it's... I can't even remember what I thought they used to say in the scene, but it was so far from what it actually is. I think it was like, get rid of him, sir, or something like that I thought he was saying. But yeah, no, it's fun watching the Rex chase Malcolm. It's fun freeze-framing the movie to see Malcolm bull riding the snout of the T-Rex through the side of the building. And then, yeah, you get that wonderful scene.
Probably still lay it down one of these days.
Right, then you get that wonderful scene with Gennaro on the toilet, just terrified. Absolutely terrified.
And then he gets 8. Was the lawyer supposed to survive this scene, or were they both supposed to die?
He dies here in the book, too.
No, actually, in the book, it was Ed Regis. Ed Regis was cut from the movie. He was the PR guy for Jurassic Park.
The PR guy.
Yeah, and a juvenile T-Rex actually killed him in the woods afterwards. But in the movie, Gennaro actually survives all the way through, like, he even gets a velociraptor pounce on his back in the maintenance shed later on in the movie. Or in the book, I mean. Spielberg told him right off the bat when they were casting, I have to tell you that your character is going to die from being eaten off of a toilet. And he was actually ecstatic about that. He said, what a great way for the character to go. So he knew full well going in.
It is.
Yeah. And that was another thing, too, that this scene wasn't originally planned because they wanted to keep the violence down. They wanted to keep the on-screen, deaths to a minimum. But I can't remember who it was, somebody from ILM, somebody else, I don't remember who. They pitched the scene and they just did a rough animatic of it or whatever they did, convinced to go forward. And yeah, this scene is amazing. It is terrifying thinking about being him, vulnerable out in the rain, staring up at something like that, looking down on you. It is absolutely terrifying.
Especially in shorts.
And long sleeves.
That you can't exactly see, so maybe he's got his pants down. We'll never know. It confused me as a child. I didn't realize he was wearing shorts until that scene, and as a kid, you don't rewind it. And then as a kid, you just forget to check that later. And so I was like, why does he have his pants down? He was just running away from the T-Rex. I guess he really did have to go. That's weird.
It's great seeing the things that change from seeing this as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, whatever, and coming back to it as an adult and seeing all the things that you messed up as a kid. It's fun. But then, yeah, we get to the scene that you're talking about, Dan, with the don't move, T-Rex can't see if you don't move. Muddy-ass hand over Lex's mouth. Snout blowing the hat off. I mean, obviously we know now that Tyrannosaurus Rex had excellent vision, but back then it was pitched and seriously considered that the Rex did have awful vision, but you can still play it off as dinosaur amphibian DNA. So, yeah.
How dare you?
I know, because it's not technically a real T-Rex. You got to think about it that way. It's a genetic abomination.
Yep.
But, yeah, then you get that sweet scene, 360s the car, or 180s the car on its roof, and then, you get the cable drop scene, and again, once it leaves the ledge and falls down, and that's all CG as well. It's a CG Explorer falling down, which is insane to me.
And to me, I thought that was one of the worst effects of the movie.
Oh, really?
Is it the lid?
Yeah.
Is it the lid?
It's just the vehicle. It's the way that they put the actors on that really high wall when they really weren't on a high wall. I forget, compositing. It just left me with this isn't the best, but it's there for tension building because, the car is slowly going to fall and then it falls and they've got to get out of the way.
And this movie really likes that last minute dodging thing. We got a last minute dodge out of this car, or Lex being pulled up through the ceiling and the raptor almost biting her leg because, it's so close.
Yeah.
A lot of those last minute things, it really likes to just play with the toys, the edge with the
just a little suspense,
unrealistic closeness.
Yeah, just to give you a jump.
It's another one of those scenes that needs to have the 3D, the computer generated effects just cleaned up, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you say this one, Joe, because my least favorite scene is actually the one after this. So they're so close together, and they're both involving the same thing.
Is it the car falling through the tree?
Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about that.
That one's not that great either.
No, I can't wait to talk about that. But But yeah, you get the Lex, you're choking me.
I also
you know.
disagree, but
Yeah, you get the Lex, you're choking me scene, and tree goes down, or car goes down in the tree. Rex lets out its triumphant roar, and we're off.
To the death of Nedry.
Mm-hmm.
it's Nedry's time now.
Yes.
He's already spun the wheel of death.
Spun the wheel of death.
Lost. He's already proven
Can we
that.
talk about how, like, a terrible driver he is? Because he wouldn't have died had he been able to, like, you know, drive in a straight line.
He's in and out of that car, but his glasses are always foggy, so he can't see.
That's true. I think the only thing I agree with is a lot of people make the comment of, it's a four-wheel drive Jeep. Why didn't he just put it into four-wheel drive to get over the log? But we don't know. It was muddy. Maybe that's an excuse. Who
Stop
knows?
putting out puddles! This movie is a masterpiece.
Also, he's a computer nerd, not a Jeep nerd.
Yeah, he might not even known how to.
Oh, well, we skipped over it. The plywood and the light.
right.
The scene is so arresting.
We were gonna talk about
the
that,
scene is so arresting that you don't even notice it. But when the Explorer is being tipped over by the Rex, the physical shot where it's actually being pulled by wires.
Okay.
In the background, you can see a halogen light on a stand, some wires, and a piece of plywood leaning against where the tunnel entrance would be. So they totally didn't clean that up. And there's a potted plant there too. So I mean, it's really funny. I really like it. It's just one of those fun things where it's like, how could you miss this? Just
Guys,
how?
Guys, come on. Really? Of all the things you could leave...
They needed the light right there. They needed
did,
it.
they
It was
did.
for the movie.
It's not throwing that much light.
Anyway.
So, the big thing with Nedry's scene that gets me, there's a goddamn blower whistle when he falls down the waterfall.
Whoop.
Yep, Spielberg put that in.
Oh, why? Just why? Like, it doesn't... Oh.
For years, I tried to mentally tell myself that I wasn't really hearing that, it wasn't really a thing, but then I've grown to accept it.
Soften the blow, I guess.
I think in subsequent versions, they've turned that down a little bit.
I mean, of all the people that die in this movie, Nedry's death is the most deserved because he's a greedy bastard and he's put a bunch of kids in danger. And, like, the greedy bastard, no, whatever, like, yeah, he's a terrible person, yeah, whatever, that's not a reason to die. But the minute that you put children in danger, straight to death.
What if they're evil children?
If that's a different thing, totally different thing. But, like,
hot take, guys, and I still don't know how I feel about this.
Okay.
Somebody online said, as an owner of a winch, I can absolutely assure you that that's almost identical to the sound of a steel cable getting reeled or extended super fast.
Oh,
I
right.
might be willing to accept that, because I've always thought maybe it's his shoes squeaking when he's falling down the rocks or something, but
The sound you're hearing happens right when he slips on the rock, not necessarily when that would have actually
when the winch would have been being pulled.
lessened the strain on the winch because he's falling backwards.
I'm willing to accept it as a comical insert.
And so the winch is going backwards because his feet are going forward. So it wouldn't have squeaked quite yet. It would make that sound as he's going down the waterfall, possibly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm willing to accept it's a goofy comic sound effect, but I'm assuming somebody from the film would fight me on that one, but I don't really care. I still love it either way.
I wonder if we ever get big enough to, you know, have, like, producers, like, conference in, like, we come back and be like, so Mr. Spielberg, why is the sound effect here? And it's intentional.
Also, please don't take this question as judgment. We love it. It deserves to be in this movie. We need it here. We super appreciate it. But why? Yeah. And then you get to see a Dilophosaur, and it's so cute.
Yeah.
It does a little head tilt, and you're like, ooh, I want to pet it. I want to give it scritches underneath its little chin.
It just goes to show why there should have been Compy in this movie.
We
They would have been cute.
but it's okay. We get the Compy in Lost World, and they're terrifying little monsters. It's fine.
They
They
destroy
are.
Peter Stormare. Eat them all up.
I've never seen it.
What?
Never watched it.
What? You've never watched Lost World? Oh God, are we gonna have
Wait,
to watch
is that
Lost
the-
World now?
is that
Yes,
the second one?
It's the second one, yeah. It's the only other one that Spielberg did.
Oh, no. I don't remember Compy in
Oh,
the
yeah,
second
they're in
one.
there.
I just remember gymnastics kicking velociraptors and
they're in the
them on a
intro
boat getting off the
scene
island. That's it.
where they eat
Yep.
the little girl,
They kill the girl.
and then
Peter Stormare pisses him off with a
Taser.
cattle prod. And,
Yep.
Yeah, he's just like, he's basically like, he's completely, he just doesn't give a crap about them or the well-being because why should he? So then it comes back to bite him in the ass later in the movie when he gets devoured by a pack of them.
And not just like a little pack of them. There's gotta be like 50 of those little bastards running around.
Yeah.
That scene did give me nightmares when I was younger.
Oh, yeah. Dude, when he's got like 10 of them on his
God.
body and he's trying to pull them off and they're like clipping to his like lip and stuff like that and pulling as he's tugging them off. Oh, man. So much blood.
So, I mean, with everything that I said about, like, Nedry deserving dying, that's still a really shitty way to go. You know, getting shredded in your escape vehicle by a, large animal.
How would that tar work from inside?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
It's
And
not
that's
a
why
thing.
everybody...
That's
yeah.
why people, yeah.
It was complete movie magic.
It's got a little self-lubricating hole.
It's complete movie magic, and that's why we haven't seen the Dilophosaurus since the first movie, and now it's finally making a comeback. But again, amphibian DNA.
We have seen the Dilophosaurus.
Everywhere else?
There's a game called Ark. I was watching somebody play Ark online
I
once,
play Ark.
and they're running around like, I got these cute little dinosaurs running after me.
Yep.
And they turn around, they're like, look, it's a I'm like, no, run! And they start getting attacked.
Yeah, no, it scared the crap out of me the first 3 times I ran into them, because it's just like, they don't attack you like normal things. They don't just like rush up and start beating the crap out of you. You'll be just like hacking away at a tree or gathering some rocks, and all of a sudden you hear a noise, you look over, and it'll be standing there, almost like it's quizzical. And then the frill opens up. And then you get
great.
blinded.
Yep.
Death by
Yeah.
umbrella. Awesome.
Like, if you haven't seen Jurassic Park and you don't know what a Dilophosaurus is, and you're like, oh no. You just be tricked into thinking, oh, it's a friendly one. This one's going to follow me
That one's
around.
got really pretty colors. That's got to be safe.
Exactly.
Those sharp
sense of
teeth must be
security.
really good at cutting up salads.
So, before we got to his death, though, Dan, you made a really good observation a few years back about the hood. About the hood on Nedry's
Oh
raincoat.
yeah, we talked about this.
That blew
was
me
a
away.
long time ago. Oh my god. There's this theory. I don't remember if it's a theory or if it's something I read online that Nedry wouldn't have gotten attacked by the Dilophosaurus when he turned around had he not put his hood up, because that's what triggered the Dilophosaurus to go into attack mode. Because he displayed in a offensive maneuver, an aggressive maneuver. And that's what made the Dilophosaurus attack him.
That's right. That's, I'd be keen to believe that. It's a fun, even if it's not true, it's a fun thing to think about. Be like, yeah, that could be true. It would be really neat if it was true.
Right after that, the Dilophosaurus displays itself.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also spits after the hood is down.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a fun one.
But, it's neat to think about. Yeah.
But we also get one of my favorite scenes before he dies too, and that's the mind bend of a prehistoric animal's DNA being covered and buried in the mud yet again.
Yes.
I love watching that Barbasol can get buried.
So, how do the embryos get off the island? Because they
don't.
They don't, unless you count the Telltale game. If you count the Telltale game, then they found them somehow. They dug in the mud and found them. And then they took him off the island with that game. But the game's been considered non-canon, so I don't know.
I thought
It's
they
a very
said something that the
specific
dinosaurs
place to know where to dig.
The dinosaurs in Lost World were the same dinosaurs from the original.
Well, they technically are, because Lost World, they didn't want to go back to the same island, but they were preparing to. And they basically... That's why it's kind of a strange scenario, because the first movie is based off of a book that was incredible and new and fresh. It was obviously a huge hit, turning it into a movie. There's no follow-up material. So they were coming up with all these crazy ideas about going back to the island and things like that, because they left it open at the end of the movie, not like the book, where they could go back to the island. However, when they kind of just like casually, I won't say forced, but casually bugged Crichton into writing a sequel that he never intended to write, that's when the idea of the second island came up. So there was a second island to breed the dinosaurs, and then they brought the dinosaurs over from that island to Jurassic Park once they'd matured to a normal age. But that contradicts the hatchery in the visitor center, a couple other things, and yeah, you would have expected them to probably go back and actually focus on this can more had that second book not been
Okay,
written.
I guess that makes sense.
It's kind of funny because the second movie, in my opinion, is better than the second book. Whereas the first book is better than the first movie.
Well, you can't compare the first book and the first movie.
I know you can't.
Because
there's just so many differences.
It's yeah.
But that's also a segue into the other thing I was going to say. Nedry's death in the book versus Nedry's death in the movie. My God, what a gigantic difference.
Yeah,
the movie.
It's pretty.
Yeah, the movie you get to see a car rock. You wouldn't be able to have the death from the book in the movie and not have it be rated R or more. But
Yeah,
that's just it. Crichton was great at describing that stuff.
It's violent. Oh my God, I should not have been reading that at a in 5th grade.
No, same here. I read it in 5th or 6th, and I was shocked when I got to that scene because I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, Nedry dies in a shaking Jeep, and here it is going not too far into spoiler territory, but essentially he gets gutted.
Yeah,
and while he's blind, he feels his warm, slippery intestines in his hand, and then the scene ends with his head being crushed like a watermelon in the jaws of an adult Dilophosaurus. That is wildly more insane than what we get on screen. But either way, he dies, and he deserves it, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, he was just trying to get some more money. Nah, he deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it. So yeah, then we cut from there to,
your favorite tree scene.
One pukey
This
Timmy.
scene is a really good blend of CG VFX and practical VFX. That being said, the CG effects are not the great.
I'd say the practical effects aren't great, and that's what hangs it up for me. But I love this scene. I love that it's in there. It's fun. It's too hokey for me. I'm sorry. The fact that they never thought to move to the side, that bugs me.
Yes.
That bugs me to no end.
I mean,
and the fact that it follows a perfectly straight... Well, yeah, the school of running away from things. But then, same thing, the fact that the explorer follows a perfect trajectory at a 90-degree angle down the tree, breaking through branches, instead of flipping or falling off the tree in any shape or form.
Maybe
it bugs me.
That tree is just really old. It was rotted from the inside.
I love that tree.
I don't know.
Okay. But either way, yeah, I love that line. I love that fucking line so much. Just, he goes up, he checks in on him, opens the door. Tim's just laying there in the shadows. You can barely even see him. I threw up. Like, you can barely even hear him say it.
The indignation that he has right there of all of the shit that just happened, boy.
Yep, that's what he cares about.
Really?
That's why I love Grant's expression. He doesn't know how to deal with kids. He's just like, I won't tell anyone.
Okay.
Yes. In the previous scene, back when you were talking about the canteens, Grant said one of the most relatable things for me when he got back into the Jeep, which is Ian Malcolm says, "How are the kids?" And Grant says, "What? I didn't ask. I'm sure they're fine." Like, had I been in that situation, I probably also wouldn't have asked.
Same here. And
just because, I'm sure they're fine. Why would they be scared? There's nothing.
Little hiccup in the power. I didn't say I was scared. I didn't say you were scared. I know. This is such a great exchange. Malcolm makes this movie so much.
Like, what do you do with kids? I don't know.
I just can't imagine this movie without him. It's insane to think that he wouldn't be in it. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah. So now we're going back to Alan having to now take care of these children. He can't just assume they're okay. He's gotta
hold the hands.
Get this one out of the tree. Gotta figure this kid thing out real quick.
Yep. And the good comments, dad ever build you a treehouse, and just everything going on before the Jeep or before the Explorer starts coming down. It's just a great scene, great setup. You can really see the change where he's concerned about Tim going up there. I love the quote from Lex before he even goes up the tree. And I've tried working that into so many conversations as a child and adult. Anytime anybody ever says anything like, "Oh, this is going to happen," it's just always like trying to find that inch where you can just like throw in that, but that's not what I'm going to do. It just feels so good. But yeah, it's him really starting to get to that point. He's getting to that point where he's actually caring for the kids and concerned about them. Instead of just not concerned, like you said, in that scene with the Ford Explorers, where he's sitting there being asked by Malcolm. That's such a good transition from that to this.
So what you're saying is all of the shitty parents just need to be attacked by a T-Rex.
And thrown off a cliff. Fine, that's all it takes.
Okay, good to know.
So we need to work more T-Rexes into Stephen King stories?
That's what it seems like. It was?
He did what? The Stand? Right?
No. We're gonna leave Stephen King and his necessities of just awful people all the time in almost every one of his books.
So then let's talk about finding Malcolm in a bed of palm fronds.
Well,
or
we're not quite
whatever.
there yet. We're getting there.
Yeah, we
Are we?
Because we're still
We
in
got-
the Jeep.
Okay.
Yeah, they ended up back inside.
Yeah,
the
would you guys
Jeep.
say we're back in the tree again? Or would you say we're back in the car again? But at least we're out of the tree. Oh. Anyways, so yeah, then we move on to the prelude to my favorite scene in the entire film. Yes, you have Muldoon, you have Ellie coming in after Hammond says to Muldoon, I wonder if perhaps he'd be good enough to take a gas Jeep and bring back my grandchildren. And, Muldoon's like, yeah, of course, there's kids out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he gets out there with his awesome Jeep, which makes me so sad because in my perfect world, I'm making a Jurassic Park replica Jeep, 100% film accurate, and I want to make Muldoon's Jeep so bad because it's always been my favorite. But he doesn't have a roll bar, so it's illegal to drive that around.
Son of a...
Yep.
How dare he?
I know, but his Jeep is the coolest. It's got the work boxes in the back and everything else. It's just, I love it.
You can always throw work boxes in the back.
I can, but yeah, it's not the same. But yeah, he comes in with Ellie using the brightest flashlights in the world. I've always loved those. I always wanted to get one, but they're expensive as hell.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep, because they're vintage, they're antique now. But yeah, they come in riding in to save the day, only to find one of the explorers is gone, and there's this crap all over the road. Like what happened?
No, that was Gennaro.
Yep, I love that. I love that scene so much. It took me until probably like my early 20s to actually pick up on that. When Muldoon missed the Franz says, "I think this was too." I love that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
It's just such a great explanation of how visceral the attack was from the T-Rex.
He's just having a good old time eating lawyers.
Yeah. I mean, with the way he was shaking him, for sure.
Yeah.
She shook him pretty hard.
And then you hear some moaning, and then sudden Ian Malcolm.
get
with one of
the
the best
line.
quotes.
Remind me to thank
It's
John
so good.
for a lovely weekend.
Yup.
I've gotten my ass handed to me by a goddamn giant lizard. I need to thank somebody for such a lovely weekend.
Now, Dan, these are not cold-blooded animals.
These things don't live in a swamp.
No, I thought you were going to say the part where Ellie says to Muldoon, "Do you think we can chance moving them?" And he pops up and is like, "Please chance it."
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. And then by chance you get Ellie spotting the other car over the ledge as Muldoon's trying to usher her to the Jeep because those T-Rex roars are getting closer.
Down that retaining wall so fast.
There's explanations.
Magic?
No, I'm looking it up right now.
It's
Okay.
So getting back to that, because you guys talked about that.
a 50-foot drop.
It is, but it
Easy.
isn't. It is, but it isn't. The walls slope. So that's a drop right there, but the grass slopes down up from the sides of the embankment. It's easier to explain with a
You'd have to
diorama.
You'd have to
It's
see
a really
it.
confusing
Yeah, no,
scene.
I get it, but like they don't show enough of that part of the park other than this straight drop and then snap cut to Ellie and Muldoon being at the bottom being like, "What?" I mean, I get it. It's a thing, and it was just something that I had.
Are you going to show them
Well,
drive
they
all
didn't
the
have
way
to
down
drive,
there?
but
That's
they didn't
boring.
drive. They obviously walked down it. But the way that it's filmed and what they used in the previous scene, it made it look like that retaining wall was just all the way around the T-Rex paddock.
Which I think it's supposed to be. It's because this is where originally, like, one of the insurance things was they had to have the concrete, whatchamacallit,
Concrete
all the way
moats,
around
motion tracking sensing units, like all
Yeah,
this.
moats. That's it.
And then again, this is where they cut corners in sake of entertainment versus safety by having this thing wildly inappropriately next to the gates. Like, yeah, it's cool that you can have a T-Rex come up to the fence that close and feed in front of the tourists, but there should be a moat in front of that, like a zoo. That's why they have them at zoos.
Why? Oh, so they just didn't. Oh my God, that's wildly irresponsible. You're right.
It is. Entertainment value. That's all I cared about. With a veneer of safety.
Just enough to get the blood-sucking lawyers off their back.
Yes.
But let's not gloss over the fact that this leads into one of the moments that is also very renowned in the movie. Mm-hmm. Malcolm waving everyone back onto the Jeep because we gotta go.
Yep, he's looking at that T-Rex,
go.
T-Rex footprint. The water, like Dan was talking about, the ripples going out. Just his concern. The only time he talks to the audience, but doesn't talk to the audience. Does anybody else hear that? That's an impact tremor. I'm fairly alarmed here. I love that. I love that. And then, yes, he's waving. And from that second forward is my favorite scene in the entire film. Watching Ellie and Muldoon running from the tree line, watching the T-Rex as she bursts through the tree line and spots them. The entire scene of the Jeep picking up speed, going, everything that happens, the Jeep chase scene is just hands down my favorite scene.
And people being like, what, the T-Rex can only run 32 miles an hour. Yeah, well, so can a Jeep can only go that fast if you are stuck in a gear because somebody's laying on the stick shift in order not to get eaten by a T-Rex.
Get off the stick, bloody move! I love it so much.
It's such a good, well done scene. Mm-hmm. And then your classic objects in mirror are closer than they appear, with the T-Rex like basically right in the mirror. It's so good.
Yeah, which doesn't exist on the driver's side, but I'm so glad they put it on there from the movie. But yeah, it's a great scene. So much tension. Rex is barreling down on him, smashing into the side of the Jeep, everything else. You got Laura Dern's amazing scream as that happens because she's terrified shitless. T-Rex just came within inches of her.
I say, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. I think this is okay.
Yup. You got the tree branch, you got the Rex breaking through the branch, and then it ends with, hands down, probably my favorite, or one of my favorite Malcolm quotes of, you think they'll have that on the tour.
It's so good.
It really
I love it too.
Is. And that's why I love Malcolm's character. He undercuts the horror, but then he also like leads up to the horror every time. It's like you get a joke before or after something scary happens. Oh, it's good for kids, and it's good for adults too because the jokes are funny. They're actually legitimately funny.
Yeah.
There's another one of those scenes that unfortunately does need cleanup. It's good, but
it's fine.
If I wanted the movie to continue to...
This wouldn't be a scene I'd focus on cleaning up. Like, if you're going to clean up the movie, you're going to clean up the whole thing in this. I guess you would do it. But if I were to pick scenes to clean up, it would be the very first dinosaur you see, and the one coming up in the next scene with the long neck sneezing, which kind of looks fake to me. Those are the two cheesiest ones.
Yeah.
Mind you, they're still great. They're still amazing, but...
See, the movie gets a lot of flack in that department compared to, like, let's say Jaws, because instead of holding off on showing you the first dinosaur, they got the Brachiosaurus right out in broad daylight. There's, like, arguments that they should have waited to have the first dinosaur be the Triceratops or the first dinosaur you see be the T-Rex, things like that. But if you pay attention, there are some nods, like the scene with the raptor paddock that we discussed. You don't see a dinosaur in that. You hear noises. It's almost like the barrels in Jaws when the barrels go under. You don't physically see Jaws until like halfway through the movie, if not more. But the presence is always felt there. You always know that Jaws is there.
I don't think that a movie that is in a series with Jaws 3D has any foot to stand on here.
Hey. What about Jaws 4: The Revenge? It bought Michael Caine.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Michael Caine said he's never seen it, but he can attest that the house that it built for his mom was beautiful, or something along those lines. He had such a great quote for it.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'm happy with the way it turned out. I think, yeah, the Brachiosaurus was the most wonderful thing for the audience to see because we were in the same boat as them. It's like, wow, a dinosaur. Unfortunately, it didn't hold up because the texture on the skin and a few other things, it's just odd.
I mean, for its time, perfection.
Yeah, when the movie came out, it was incredible. It was the first time anything like that had ever been on a screen. And it still looks relatively good.
And honestly, standard definition, I'm sure you can't even tell.
Yeah, that's the problem. With VHS and DVD, you can tell. The second I threw that Blu-ray in, that's the first time in my life watching the movie I was like, oh no.
Oh boy. So people attribute this scene to the scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy steps out of her ruined house in Munchkinland. When it goes from black and white to color, those two scenes have the same kind of audience affecting power.
I could see it.
Because with like The Wizard of Oz, like you get, when that movie came out, everybody's so used to movies being in black and white, and you know about the story of The Wizard of Oz because you've read it, but somebody's made a movie of it, and the color change scene, like that whole thing about it being color was totally kept under wraps. So it was a shock to anybody who was going to see it for that opening.
Apart from like the editor and the camera guy and the
yes.
director. That's neat.
And it worked on me as a 5-year-old eating a cookie after leaving the kitchen and seeing that little tiny itty-bitty snippet blip on the TV for the trailer. I mean, that's what blew me away. That's what made me freak out and beg my parents to take me to the theater right away.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, we go right from that scene into my second favorite scene of the entire film, the ice cream scene.
Oh, no. We got Ellen and the kids in
Oh,
the
that's
scene.
right. That's right. Oh, my God. How did I forget?
It's
Ellen,
such a short scene.
It is. It goes back to the roar, and then...
It's a short scene. It's so important.
That's it.
Because you get...
Yeah, it's a jump-off point for Alan, finally. And it's tied together because you hear the roar of the T-Rex chasing them, and then they hear the roar in the distance of that.
And he throws the claw.
He does throw the claw. This is the scene I was talking about with that. So this is the scene where he fully gives up and gives over to being an adult with kids. And that's kind of him tossing his old way. His old thoughts, his own feelings. Like, that's a representation of his old mentality being tossed away as he falls asleep with the kids in the tree.
Can we talk about the fact that Grant didn't manage to impale himself on that claw through all the shit that's happened in the last, 10 minutes?
I know. As a kid, I always thought it was in one of those pouches on his belt until I realized, oh no, it's just in his pocket.
He pulled it out of his pants pocket. He didn't, lacerate himself with it in any way, shape, or form.
If you were a paleontologist, would you carry a raptor claw in your back pocket just because you found one?
I mean,
Maybe
I might.
If it was
the first
of its kind, or
fossil that I
the first
pulled out of the ground, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it's a pressing of one.
Yeah,
it kind of looks resin to me. It doesn't look like it's stone.
Well, I've 3D printed a replica of that one, and I'll tell you, the thing is sharp as hell. It's unmanageable. It's unwieldy, and you would not want to have that in your pocket of some tan Dockers as you're flipping around and going off of it.
It wasn't in the car. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. I don't think he could have gotten him on this trip if he knew he was going to be attacked by a T-Rex.
Probably not.
And then we go to get my favorite thing, ice cream. Which you'd think that the scene would be like the point in the movie where everything just stands still because you just had this T-Rex attack.
But what about Lex getting sneezed
all
on?
that fun stuff?
Well, that's after
That's
this.
after the ice cream.
Oh, that's right.
It's after ice
Oh,
cream.
God, I keep getting this all messed up. Okay, so yeah, they fall asleep, and then it cuts to the ice cream.
It cuts the ice cream.
And then they
too.
wake up the morning after the ice cream conversation. Yes.
So I don't remember if this conversation happens in the book or not.
No.
But it is so necessary to show exactly how naive Hammond is.
It is. It shows the naivety,
Yeah.
but it also shows and grounds his character to just the fact that he's kind of blind. He's not an asshole. He's not a money-grubbing jerk like the book made him out to be, but he's so unbelievably hopeful that this thing's going to work, that he's just completely writing off everything that's happened, and the naivety just shows through like nothing else, like you said. It's just, he builds and builds off this scene, and you learn so much about Hammond in, 2 minutes? It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it takes him from being a character to being a human.
Yes.
This is the scene that brings him to he's just one of us who got a bit excited with his new discovery.
And I gotta say the acting with Laura Dern too. The way that she delivers her lines and the way that she brings the emotion and cries and everything during the scene is incredible. Absolutely incredible. You'd actually believe that she knew Alan Grant and she was concerned about Alan Grant and kids.
Yeah.
Being stuck out on an island full of dinosaurs. It's such a well delivered scene. But the ice cream, I think the thing that bothered me growing up, and I still don't have an answer for it, other than, quote, maybe auxiliary power, because at this point, the power's not off in the whole park. The power's off, but it's not, right?
Correct, because
So
they haven't left for the
maintenance
hut
shed
yet.
Yeah. And Hammond makes the comment that with the power off, they were all starting to melt. But during that scene, the ceiling fans are moving. So that always bugged me, but I'm willing to forgive that because there might be some minor systems like ceiling fans that are working.
Could be just air circulators that use the moving air to keep the fans going. Maybe, I don't know.
Fans are pretty high power too. I mean, a freezer's super high power. That's probably going to be the one of the things that you have turn off during a power outage, especially since it's going to be kind of self-sustaining for a while.
It's on a grid. It's on a bigger thing that's going to be part of something else that you shut down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas fans, they're probably circuitry on something else that doesn't really matter. So it's like, why would the fans ever go off? And the lights are on. We can obviously see the lights are on in the rest of the compound at this point, so that's not a thing. It's not an issue.
I mean, when the power goes out in the control center, the backup lights turn on.
True. So I'm willing to forgive that. It's just, it bugged me for a little while growing up, but then I got over it. My favorite correlation, though, that I didn't realize until about 5-10 years ago that somebody pointed out, was the ice cream scene. The fact that Hammond irresponsibly left the freezer door open, directly attributed to the survival of his grandson.
Correct.
And it is such a good thing. It's like he just didn't care enough to close the damn door. And that's the only reason why when the power comes back on later, that the ice starts melting, or the water starts refreezing and turning into ice inside the freezer to create the slippery ground. Like, literally, that would not have happened had Hammond not just been lazy and not shut the door from getting the ice cream. I love it.
You see how much ice cream was on that table? He had to use at least both arms to bring that
And that's
out.
what I picture. I picture a jolly John Hammond waddling out of a fucking cooler holding just quarts of ice cream under his arms.
That is a wonderful
It is.
little bit of detail that they kept in the movie.
It is.
And I believe this is the last time he utters, spared no expense.
It is, because Ellie makes him kind of snap out of it, and that's why this scene's so important. This scene is just as important as the boardroom scene. It's taking the character, he's explaining why he's doing things, why he's done things, explaining his background, and it's just the naivety, like Dan said, is just showing through the cracks, and Ellie's there to call him out on his bullshit. When he starts talking about having control and she calls him out on that, he stops. You see it in his face. He's like, he's not used to having people not be yes men around him. So the fact that she's calling him out on this, it's making him actually stop and humble himself and think about what she's saying.
High level, it is almost the exact same scene as the boardroom scene. You got people saying, you don't know what you're doing here, John. You don't know what you're doing. Something bad could happen. And then this scene being, John, you didn't know what you're doing. And like, you have the character growth for John as well here, then being like, so you got the difference in the scenes being John at the end of the movie being like, yeah, oh, I kind of screwed up here.
Yeah.
My bad.
Like in the boardroom scene, he's full on defending himself, and like he's just delusional to the point that anybody could see past what's being presented to them as the greatest entertainment thing to ever happen. He can't believe that they're actually finding things to nitpick about. Whereas this scene, it's almost like, without actually physically touching him, Ellie slapped him and got him to get out of that stance and actually realize that it's not going to be just pick up and do it again after this. Things changed. They changed for the worse, and they're not going to go back to the way they were.
And that was us pulling ice cream out of the non-working freezer of Jurassic Park. Please like, rate, review, comment, subscribe. Yell at your neighbors that we do this podcast. And temporarily, it's all about Jurassic Park for a few months. Because when you come back next time, we'll still be talking about Jurassic Park.
Guys, we only have like 10 scenes left. It's fine. We'll get this done before October.
We got this.
So come back in 2 weeks when we rewind again.
We need to make like Hammond and not go back again. We need to move forward with this. We can do it.